Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about something different, something interesting, and something that is trending, that's actually going on right now and becoming very popular. So we're going to talk about Chat GPT and see how it can generate code. Maybe you can debug and you can also learn from it. So let's see. So first, you can actually just go to Google and search Chat GPT, and this is going to come up. And before I go further, if you're not familiar with my channel, I will really humbly suggest that you go through some of the playlists that I have. I talk about different technologies starting from Python to SpringBoot to Java to React and all different sorts of programming languages and how you can use them to build different types of applications. So let's get back to the Chat GPT. Today what we're going to try to do is try to build some of the stuff that I kind of already showed you to see if Chat GPT can do this for me. Okay, so if you're not familiar with this, you can go ahead and search this as I mentioned, and please read through the description. It's basically a very cool AI generated program that it's a chatbot, but it can also generate code for you. It can supposedly debug the code for you, and it can answer any questions that you want in a really smart way. So again, it's called Chat GPT, and you can go ahead and click on it. Once you get the link, now it'll give you something like this. If you don't have an account in OpenAI, you can create one. It's free. I already have one, so I'm just going to go ahead and say, let's try it. And it's coming up. And I'm going to log in. After successfully log in, it will give you something like this. It just basically tells you that this is a beta version, preview version, and it will collect all of your data. If you don't want it to bother, just click next, 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 and say done. And this is kind of like the prompt. And of course, you can clear all the conversation. And then you can also change the different types of mode, dark mode, light mode. And you can go through the Discord that they have, and they have their frequently asked questions. And of course, you can log out. And of course, this is the thing that you can see. They have some samples that shows how you can chat with it or what kind of questions you can ask. But anyway, this is all boring. The first thing I'm going to do is let's go ahead and just type something, simple like, what is your name? Let's see what it says. And as you can see, it's pretty cool. It just kind of goes and kind of looks like a robot. All right. Anyway, so that's not the purpose of my topic here. So what I'm going to do is I wanted to have this thing write a real-time code. So one other thing that I was thinking is, okay, what if I tell this thing to write like a Python code that's going to show, all the COVID-19 cases since 2019, real time. Can you do it? Maybe it can. So here's the question. My question is this. Create a Python code that uses PyPlots. I'm explicitly telling it what to use, and show the real-time COVID-19 data since 2019. How cool is that? Let's see. And look what it does. Certainly, here's a simple example how you can use blah, 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 blah. And it says, first you'll need to install matplotlib library using pip install matplotlib. Okay, great. Then you do all this. Then it says that then you can retrieve the COVID-19 data from somewhere. And then it literally writing the entire Python code for me. Okay, I'm gonna let it do its thing. It looks like it's getting some JSON data, and it's basically saying number of confirmed cases and just and showing the data on the plot, which is kind of cool. Now it says you can modify the code plot different blah 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 blah. Date recovers by changing the field name. For loop, you can also modify the x and y axis levels blah blah blah. I hope this helps. Okay. So let's see if this code runs. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy this. Now, of course, it tells you that it doesn't tell you what version of Python, so that's something you're supposed to know. But it does tell you that you're going to need a library called pyplot, and it also tells you do pip install pyplot_lib, which is kind of cool that it's telling you that. But I'll tell you one more thing. This requests is also another library. If you don't, by default, Python will not have it. So you may have to do the similar thing. You have to say pip install request. So it's another thing that it didn't tell you. But apart from that, it's all cool. So let's go and try to run this code. So I already have created a directory, and I'm going to bring my favorite editor, Visual Studio Code, and I'm going to try to paste this code. Of course, this is going to be a new file, and I'm going to call that, let's just test.py, and of course save it in here. And I'm going to go ahead and paste that piece of code that was generated, right? Now, of course, in my case, you didn't see any kind of error because I told you I already have this library installed. I also had pyplot installed, so I didn't have to do the pip install. It did tell you about the pyplot, but it didn't tell you about the request. But anyway, you know, if you're a Python coder, you would know that. I'm going to go ahead and run this. There it is. It is running, and voila. Look at that, it's real-time data. Yeah, the graph kind of looks weird, but anyway, you know, it's a AI-generated code, and it's a beta version, but it's supposed to have all of these data with the dates. So there are probably gazillions of dates since 2019, and as you could see, and it just says COVID-19 confirmed cases in India. I'm not really sure why I picked India. Probably just picked one, but you know, yeah, it's there. It works. Cool. All right. End of the story. Let's do something else, some more stuff. All right, the next thing I'm going to say is, how about I would like to create a SpringBoot web application that uses OAuth 2 to log in. You know, something looks simple, but it can be pretty complex. Let's see what it does. Okay, creating an application, you'll need to complete the following steps. Nice. Yeah, first you gotta go to initialize. That's what I would have done. Then add Spring Auth 2 client, and Auth 2 Jose. I'm not really sure what that is. We'll find that out. Configure the Auth 2 client by adding properties to your application. That create a configuration class that extends this and overrides that method. You can enable Auth 2 client by Auth 2 login method. Blah 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 blah. Then, you know, it gives you some samples. Okay, and it writes the code. Pretty cool. And it actually uses the GitHub as your OAuth 2 login. And it kind of says, good luck, I hope that helps. It's probably not everything because, first of all, it tells you to, okay, create a SpringBoot project using Spring Initializer. Let's do that first, okay? You can literally copy this and open another tab and do this. But again, I know that I don't need to do all that. You just type Spring Initializer and it'll take you there. Now here's the catch though. It did tell you what to do. Create a new SpringBoot project using Spring Initializer, right? Then it says add the Spring Security OAuth 2 client and in Spring Security OAuth 2 Jose dependencies to your project. All right. Good luck. If this is the first time you're doing this, you have no idea what this is. Let's start with the first step. In the first step, it doesn't tell you what to choose. You're going to choose Maven, you're going to choose Kotlin, you're going to choose Java, you choose Groovy, which version you're going to choose. By the way, I know for sure that what it's suggesting, for example, Web Security Configuration Adapter, this is actually a deprecated class. Spring Boot doesn't recommend using this anymore. It's component based. So, but you know, in order for this to work, I know that I'm going to have to choose maybe a previous version, which is 2.7.6, and I want to do Maven. And Java is fine, and I can keep all as is, or I could just say ICS discover, and artifact demo, I'm just going to say Spring Boot OAuth 2. Demo project for SpringBoot OAuth 2. And of course, it doesn't tell you jar, var, blah, 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 so I'm just going to kind of leave everything default. And here is the catch. It tells you all those dependencies, which is cool, but you have no idea what this is. What is Spring Security Auth 2 client if you're doing it for the first time, and then Auth 2 Jose, right? So you kind of look down and you kind of have to guess, right? Well, I can tell you right now, if for a web application, those two are not going to be enough. Okay, you're going to have to choose something like your dev tools. You're going to have to choose something like Timely if you're going to create a web app. This definitely, right? And I don't see Jose, so that is, I'm not sure what the hell this is talking about. Excuse me. So it is not in there. So anyway, so that's another thing that I can tell you. So for that, it's probably not 100% accurate, or it's, you can go through this, and of course after you download, what happens is when you go through Spring Initializer and you choose all this, you can actually generate, and it's going to create a zip file. It's going to download. But I mean, let's just do that for the sake of it. I'm just going to say, okay, I need Spring Boot Dev Tools, and I press the Control key so that I can choose multiple. And it's Spring Web. I'm also going to need other stuff, so this is not enough. I already added Spring Web, that's fine. I'm not sure, I don't need Spring Session actually. I'm going to need something like definitely Spring Security Auth 2 client. I don't think you need that unless you're going to use something specific to this. And of course, if you're going to use the JDBC and stuff, you're going to need one of those things. And I don't think I'm going to need anything else for now. So go ahead and say, okay, I'm done. And you can go ahead and just generate. And of course, packaging typically jar is just leave it as is and say generate. And there you go. So it generated this thing. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to extract this zip file onto the directory that I created. I like to put it on YouTube, and then I'm going to put that under Chat GPT that I just created, this one, and extract it. Okay, great, done, extracted. So now I have this Eclipse IDE. If you don't have it, just go ahead, look at one of my previous videos, like especially employee vaccination management is, I think it's probably the part 5 or 4. One of those videos talks about how to download and install Eclipse. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and import that project that I just got with the Spring Initializer, and you go ahead that and the YouTube project, and then I have it under Chat GPT. There we go. That's the project that I just got downloaded and created. And there you go, it's importing, and there it is. So then the next thing, of course, if you go back to the Chat GPT and are done, the next step is add, configure the OAuth 2 client by adding the necessary properties to your application's configuration file. Okay, it says necessary properties. You have no idea what that is. So you kind of have to, you can copy and paste and look online, and it'll probably tell you. But at the same time, so it's not pretty obvious. It's not, I mean, it gives you some steps, but you have to do some more research. Then of course it tells you create a configuration class that extends web security configurator, adapter, blah, 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 and all this. So, and then create a controller class that handles the login without requests, blah, blah, blah. Then it create a template file login.html, but it didn't give you any of those codes. You literally have to write it, right? Well, the only thing it gave you is the security config, which, I mean, I can copy the code and I can create it. Security config. So let's see. So you are supposed to go ahead and create this in here. Let's say new class security configurator. I think that's what it's called. Again, it doesn't matter what you call it. Security config. That's what it's called. Okay. So security config. And then I kind of copied that code. I'm just going to paste it here, as you can see. And of course, it didn't give you everything. Of course, you have to do a lot of things that by yourself. So, right, all the imports, right? So let's go back and import configuration, import enable security, and import this thing, right? And then as you could see, I was telling you, this is deprecated class. You're not supposed to use that. It recommends to use a component-based security. So anyway, I still did it. And then it also tells you to, and of course, as you can tell, that this code won't compile because there's a deprecated method right here that it's calling. So another example that it's not 100%. It doesn't tell you everything. Okay, so let's do another little update. So he sees this button right here, a regenerate response. So I can go ahead and do that, and let's see if it does the same thing or if it follows a different path. Okay, so now you see, now it gave me a little different response. So now it tells you explicitly that don't see. Before it actually told me to actually give me like some weird names for the dependency. Now it tells you choose web and then choose what to client, which is a little better, even though they're not exactly that. And then it also now it tells you, okay, add these two properties, your client ID, your client secret. So if you're using OAuth 2, typically you're going to use some OAuth server where you register your client ID and client secret. So that's what this is telling you. So in the previous steps, it just told you that go ahead and configure your application property. At least here, when you regenerate the response, it tells you a little bit explicit. Add these two properties. Great, a little better. Then here, it also kind of gives you a little bit more, but it doesn't give you all the code. So you kind of have to be on your own, try to understand that, okay, create application Java and do this enable OAuth 2 client, create that code, you be on your own, okay? So anyway, so let's try something different. So done with the SpringBoot. Let's see, there's another technology just to show you called Struts2. It's the latest version of Struts. This is also a very popular framework that is used to create web application, and it is MVC framework, as you can see, and it is pretty cool. Let me see if it can create an application using this. All right, so I'm going to go back to Chat GPT and ask that question. Now I know for sure you can create a Struts2 application, web application, using Maven R type. So I'm being more explicit because I know that you can do it using Maven R type. So hopefully it will be a little bit better this time. All right, here's an example. You can create a Struts2 web application using Maven, install Maven on your system, which I have it. This is actually good that it tells you to download it. Open a terminal and then type the following Maven command. Nice, that's what I was looking for. Okay, good. Okay, so it's using actually Maven's convention, Struts2 convention plugin to create that app. Okay, then it says, when prompted, enter group ID, artifact ID, and version of your project. The group ID, artifact ID should be in reverse domain name notation. Yeah, that's good. We'll create a new directory with artifact ID. Then it tells you, run Maven container Maven JT run. Okay, cool. Then it will and say navigate to that application. This is cool, okay. But let's see if it works. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this first. And it says to open a command prompt. I'm going to go ahead and do it. And there it is. It says create this, blah, 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 blah. And there you go. It is generating it. And generating interactive mode. Actually, you can also don't have to do an interactive mode. You can kind of say that don't do it, just do -B and provide all this information. All right, it didn't work, as you can tell. And the error it says is fail to execute go blah 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 blah. Generate this, and it says that missing no dependency information available. So obviously it didn't work. So there's something wrong with executing the goal. Okay, so if you are not sure about what this is, again, you're gonna be kind of sitting in the dark. But of course, I asked for explicit explicit web application using Struts2. So I'm gonna go ahead and search. What I'm gonna do is say create Struts2 web application using Maven. Of course, you can just Google it, right? And there it is. And this is kind of like what I was looking for. And you can literally go to the Struts2 page, their help, and it'll tell you what are different archetypes, right? And again, I can go through all of this, and I think what they're trying to do is trying to create this one, Struts2 archetype convention. If I have to go look at the comment, it was trying to do the convention, right? So again, it didn't work. Of course, whatever it got its stuff from it, it's not good. So you can kind of go and copy this or this. Any one of this would work. And this one does the convention plugin, and the next one does it blank. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this actually. I'm going to update it a little bit because it assumes that you have this thing in multiple lines, and I don't want to do this thing in multiple lines, so I'm just going to go ahead and update the comment. So it's supposed to be, and dash B basically says that don't give me prompt, just kind of do it. Not interactive, it's like background type thing. And I'm going to change some of the things, like the group ID is not my system, the group ID is ICS discover, and artifact is just going to say test Struts2, and that is the Q type and type convention. I'm not really sure why it did convention. I actually asked for a web application, so I'm not going to do convention actually. Let's go back and change that. What I'm after is really kind of starter. This is the web application that would be probably better. So I'm going to choose a different archetype. That would be archetype-starter. I'm just going to go ahead and type that. So starter. RTER. Let's copy that. And let's go ahead and run that now. Clear the screen and run this. And as you can see, it's generating project in batch mode. That means it's not interactive. It's not going to ask me what's the application name, and the group ID. I already provided that. So let it run, and it did. As you can see, it created it. Nice. So if I do a dir, actually it should create it. There we go. There's the directory right here. Test Struts2. Right? So I should be able to open it using my Eclipse. So that one didn't work, so I'm just going to go ahead and check it. Delete that. Don't need this. And let's try to open this Maven project. And Chat GPT, test Struts2. There it is. And there it is, there's the project. And this is what's supposed to happen, of course, and it actually has all the bits and pieces that you would need. It's kind of hello world example. Anyway, I think the moral of the story is Chat GPT is cool. Definitely what they build is really nice. And as you could tell that, it tells you to Maven clean install and then Maven JT run. I mean, just for the sake of it, let's just go ahead and try that. So I'm gonna go ahead, go to that directory first of all, where it created it. Of course, it told you a bunch of other things, like after running this, it'll create a new directory, specify the archetype ID, which kind of I told you that it didn't interactively ask because I put this dash B. and I provided the group ID and the artifact ID right here. But if I, let's say, if I didn't put those things, then it would have asked me in the prompt, and that's what it's telling you. It was telling you it's going to create a directory, which it did, and that's where I went, the new directory where it created all this. But anyway, when everything's said and done, navigate to that directory as it says right here, and run this commands to build it, and that's what I'm going to do now. So first thing it tells me to do is that Maven clean install. Let's go try that. And it works, of course. And then it says Maven JD1. I'm gonna try that. And it does its thing. It downloads its thing that it's supposed to. And then once it's done, success, then I should be able to just go ahead and start this local. There you go, I started JD server. So all I'm supposed to do is I'm supposed to go and, which it did tell me, give me the link. So I can just go there and there it is, voila. Cool. But of course, no context at this server. There it is. There is this application that it generated, automatically created. When I ran that Archeo typing, it gave me all these menus and the content pages. And if I can type this, call ICS discover, and there's the date, submit, and hello. So this is kind of like the plain hello world app that it created using Struts2 framework. Yeah, so as you could tell that Chat GPT gave me most of the steps to create the application, but of course, it's not 100% polished or perfect, which is understandable because it's a beta version or a preview version application, but given its beta, it is extremely capable and it looks pretty cool actually. Even though I assume that when you try to generate code using Chat GPT, I think it assumes that you have to know something about programming. You cannot just be, completely naive. So having said that, it is a very interesting AI tool that if you want, you can use. So that's about it today. And if this content added any value or skill to your existing bag of skills, I would really appreciate if you could subscribe my channel and also hit the like button and also the bell icon so that you can find out when I have new content, and also do let me know what are the contents that you wanted to see. And that's it for today. Happy holidays and happy new year. I think this is probably going to be my last video for this year. Take care. Bye.